Hey everybody, Sharon here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today in Galactic Loader, going for all of the achievements. This game is normally going to be quite challenging, however, we're going to make things easier on us. On the main menu, make sure you go into Settings, and then here you have access to Accessibility. Make sure you head into that. That's going to allow you to turn on some accessibility features, including both infinite health and starting with a machine gun. So this is basically going to make us invincible, and it's going to give us an easier time of shooting things. Make sure you start up a new game. The achievements are basically going to involve you getting from the prologue all the way to level 18. So first things first, you want to hit the X button to skip both of the opening cinematics if you don't care for the story. You're going to need to play the prologue first. You are basically going to be in control of this drone thing. It's going to be like a crane game where you're going to need to fly it using the left stick. You're going to approach these three barrels and you're going to need to deposit them into the spaceship. So just make sure you steer around, hit the X button to pick up the barrel, fly up and hit the X button to release it, and then just make sure you do this for all three. This is not going to be how the rest of the gameplay is like, so this is going to be a completely superfluous intro. However, we are going to need to play through it. It is going to relate to the story somehow. So make sure you get it taken care of, and then once you complete it, you should be good for the incident achievement for 100 gamer score. Then we can actually get on to the real gameplay, so make sure you let the rest of this cinematic play out, and then we're going to cut to the next room. Make sure you skip the next cinematic, and then it's going to be on to the very first level. In terms of the achievements, it's going to take about a half hour to get all the way to level 18, so that's going to be what we're looking at in terms of time commitment. Thanks to the accessibility features, we should be able to just hold right and then just fire the whole time. We should have infinite health, so nothing is going to stop us, and we also have the starting machine gun, which is basically going to have infinite ammo. So even if you run out of ammo, you're still going to be able to fire, and you should still be able to rapid fire. So as long as you keep the fire button held down the whole time, you should be able to mow down every single enemy in front of you, as well as every single obstacle. Even though you aren't going to take any damage, so you actually don't have to kill anything, but killing things is going to be fun. As for obstacles, if you fall into a pit, you're just going to respawn next to the pit. Normally falling into a pit in this game is just going to deal damage to you, but there isn't going to be any insta-death moments. So pretty straightforward run and gun style platformer. It's pretty much going to be just move to the right, jump every now and again, and kill things if you want to, and you should be able to get through this game lickety-split without having to exert much effort. So once you get to the next level, you should be good for your next achievement, which is going to be the level 2 achievement. This one's going to be for another 100 gamer score. There's going to be a total of 10 achievements in the game, 100 gamer score apiece, totaling for 1,000 gamer score. You're going to get an achievement every 2 levels. So we have the prologue, and then it's going to be to reach levels 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and then finally 18 for the last achievement. So make sure you do keep that in mind. Once we get to level 3, things should be mixed up a bit. We're going to have another one of those drone things. So what this is going to be about is the drone's going to grab us, and we're going to steer the drone. So a little bit of a flying level with some verticality to it. Pretty simple. We're going to basically substitute our running and jumping for just controlling this thing. You should still be able to shoot, and you're going to use your blaster to get rid of the crates so you can clear out some space so you can move farther up, and then we're just going to keep pushing it to the finish line. But again, this one's going to be fairly straightforward and self-explanatory. So once you drop off your character, you're going to get this cutscene where it's basically going to explain you getting this backpack upgrade. The backpack upgrades are going to be your new abilities, essentially, that you're going to get as you progress further into the game. So this one is going to be the dash. You're going to unlock it as you get into the 4th level, which should get you the next achievement for 100 gamer score. You're going to have the tutorials in the form of these billboards in the background. Basically, you're going to hit right bumper to use the dash. you're going to have the energy bar below your health bar that is going to determine if you can dash or not. You are going to be able to pick up the lightning bolts in order to refill the bar. If you can't find any lightning bolts nearby, the bar is going to fill up slowly on its own. The backpack upgrade is also going to unlock the double jump, which is also going to drain your energy bar, so make sure you do manage that appropriately. But that's going to be your 2 new mobility abilities that are going to help you get past gaps and to reach higher places. So make sure you do take note of that, and that's going to be this level in a nutshell. This segment's going to end with us getting onto this elevator where we're going to have our first boss fight. Pretty self-explanatory, especially with the accessibility features on. Just make sure you stand as close as you can to the boss and just keep that fire button held down the whole time. You are going to have the boss's health bar in the upper right. Just make sure you shred that down to nothing. Of course, none of the boss's attacks are going to hurt us with the infinite health on, so nothing to worry about. Just make sure you take home your free win and then move on to the next level. So as we get off the elevator, we should start level 6 and be good for our next achievement right here for 100 gamer score. The next 2 levels are going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be back to boots on the ground and straight up 2D running and gunning and platforming. Of course, we are going to have the pleasure of taking advantage of our new toys in the form of the dash as well as the double jumps. Make sure you use those to add to your platforming repertoire. But of course, we still can't die and we still have infinite ammo, so just make sure you push your way forward and to the right until we get to the next segment. So rolling into level 8, we should be good for our next achievement right here, 100 gamer score. Level 8 is going to open up with a boss fight, so make sure you take care of this. Same strategy as before, just make sure you use your infinite ammo and infinite health to outlast the boss. So just keep shooting at it. This boss is going to be a flying enemy. You are going to have to try to wait for it to come down to shoot it, or you can take advantage of having the double jump up to it and just blast away, and you should be able to chip out its health bar in no time. So once we take care of that boss, we're going to roll into the 9th level. It's going to be seemingly another form of run and gun platforming level, and it is. However, we are going to step it up in complexity a bit, as we are going to have some verticality now to these straight firing levels. So eventually, you're going to get to this point where you're going to hit a dead end, and then the game is going to tell you to look upward, and then we're going to use our double jump in order to get higher up, and then we're going to start climbing. The navigation isn't going to be terribly bad, but we are going to have to figure out how to get to this rail car right here. So make sure you jump up through this gap and then head to the left. The start of the rail car is going to be as far left as you can go, so make sure you push your way this way. And then once you notice the rail car directly beneath you, make sure you drop down onto it, and then we're going to ride this thing to where it needs to get going. So once we get to the terminus of this rail car, we're going to make our way forward. We're going to have another rail car segment, so we're going to need to find the next one. So just make sure you make your way forward. Try your best to avoid these dead-end alcoves right here, as they are going to be a big time waster. So just stick to the straight and narrow and keep pushing your way forward. Eventually, you're going to see the rail car directly above you. That's going to be your sign to start looking for a way to get higher up. You should notice these two lightning bolts right here. Make sure you do use them, and then use the double jump in order to go through this gap right over here. Make sure you get over this spot, and then we're going to hop on the rail car and then just ride this to the end of the level. So rolling into the next level, we're going to be good for the level 10 achievement right here for 100 gamer score. We're just at about the halfway point. You're going to get this cutscene where you get a robot buddy who's going to help us out. Essentially, it's going to operate like a satellite, like in a shoot 'em up, where it's going to mimic our fire. Even though we have infinite health thanks to the accessibility, it is not going to have infinite health, so it is going to go down pretty quickly if you are going to play super duper recklessly, which of course you are because you have infinite health and nothing's going to stop you, and we do not need the robot buddy to stay alive the whole time. So if you feel like killing it off as early as possible, feel free to do so without any remorse, but it's going to be straight back to normal 2D running and gunning and platforming for the foreseeable future. On to level 11, this thing is going to mix it up again. You're going to basically be at this locked door that has this monitor. It's going to spawn a couple of enemies out. Make sure you take them out. As you can see, the monitor is going to tick down, which is going to essentially mean you're going to need to defeat 17 enemies in order to get that thing open. Thankfully, there are exactly 17 enemies left in the level. You can go either left or right. It doesn't really matter since you have to tackle both directions anyways. Just make sure you take out all of the enemies you see. For those bugs that aren't going to be able to be shot to death, you are going to need to push them into the gaps. Just make sure you take your time with this and make sure you are super thorough going either direction and take out all of the enemies in both directions, and you should be good for this. So once you get to the end of either side, it's going to usually end with this drop right here. In terms of the enemy distribution, the right side is going to have 9 enemies and the left side is going to have 8 enemies. So if you tackle the opposite side first, just make sure you apply that math to the other side. Once you get one side done, just make sure you tackle the other, and then once you manage to clear out both sides of all of the enemies, that locked door is going to open, and then we should be able to move on to the next level. Once you clear out all the enemies, you should have an open access above the door. It should open for you once you get here, and then we can move on to the next level. This happens to be the 12th level, so we should be good for the next achievement right here for 100 gamer score. This level is also going to consist of a boss fight. We're going to fight the little shop of horrors right here. So same as the other terrestrial bosses in the game, you want to try to stand as close as you can to the boss and just keep blasting away until it runs out of health. Now, with that boss defeated, we're going to move on to the next level, and then we're going to also get our next backpack upgrade right here. This one's going to be a pretty simple one. It's just going to give us a higher energy capacity. So we should now have an additional notch in our energy bar, giving us some more dash and double jumps that we can use before recharging it. So do take advantage. Now, that being said, we are going to be at that point where we're going to just need 5 levels left in order to get the rest of the achievements in the game. Thankfully, these next 5 levels are going to be super duper simple. They're just going to be straight up platforming. For the most part, it's just going to be a change of scenery. There are going to be new hazards and a few new enemy types. However, that's going to be made trivial thanks to our infinite health. So just make sure you keep pushing to the right and then get through these last 5 levels, and we should be good for the rest of the achievements we are going for. So it's going to be at this point where we should hit level 14 and be good for the next achievement for our 100 gamer score. Our penultimate achievement is going to be right here for another 100 gamer score once we get started with level 16. And if you finally made it all the way through, once you hit level 18, you should be good for the last achievement. There it is, 100 gamer score. Hope you enjoyed the walkthrough. That's going to be the completion, and that's all there is to it.